I was a millionaire by age 31. I'm broke by age 33. Couple of million, 2.5 million, all swept away, making foolish decisions. That first money, it's really hard to keep. I'm just a young guy, 31, 32 years old. But sure enough, I fell for some of the temptations. Somebody's going to be parted with their money before long when they say, like I did, how many colors does it come in, right? I'll buy them all. That kind of sort of recklessness. And then making some unwise business decisions. Company wanted to borrow some money, $250,000. The bank said, well, if Mr. Rohn will sign personally, we'll let you have the money. And I knew they could pay it back, so I signed, so I'm the hero. They pay it all back. I leave, go away. I find out a little bit later that the company got in financial trouble, went back and borrowed this $250,000 again. And I said, well, I hope they don't call me, because this time I won't sign. I signed the first note. It was all paid back, but I knew they weren't going to make it this time. And they never called. However, sure enough, within a year, this company goes belly up. And I get a letter from the bank saying, dear Mr. Rohn, we have here your guarantee that if the company can't perform, you will. On this $250,000, please send us your check. And I said, hey, there's been some mistake here. I signed the first note, but nobody ever called me. I never signed the second note. What I didn't know that I had originally signed was a continuing guarantee. Now I know what the word continuing means. I know how much it costs per letter. But anyway, that and a few other experiences, and some of my newfound wealth was on paper, and that disappeared. So sure enough, from poor to rich and from rich back to poor, what do you do now? What occurred to me was that even though my money was gone, I still had the skills. And the skills proved to be more valuable than the money. So I just simply went back to work, went back to the street, went back using the formula I had used in the first place to do well, and made many times more what I did the first time. But I think that's the key. You just have to go back to work. And part of it was I was willing to readjust my lifestyle. The fancy cars had to go, the homes and all that stuff had to go, and you go back to a modest apartment and a modest place and pull everything down to start over rather than trying to keep living up here when you should have to start over back to the street or whatever you have to do. And just put it together again. No different than the farmer who plants in the spring and it's all gone when the hailstorm is finished. He goes back in the spring and says, let's try it one more time. I can't imagine 2 years in a row. Once in a while, maybe there would be 2 years in a row when you get wiped out, but not that often. So you try it again. And probably from the experience, if you treat it right and keep the right attitude, you'll be stronger than you were the first time around or the second time around. But everything comes down to attitude and philosophy. When I first started working on my fortune as well as my living, my mentor said it depends on your attitude. If you say, I'm working a little extra time to pay some bills, that'd be one thing. But if you said, I'm working a little extra time to start my fortune, see, that makes getting out of bed totally different. To get up to pay some extra bills is one thing. To get up to lay the foundation for your fortune, see, is a whole different attitude and mindset and philosophy. So if you have the right attitude, no matter what's happened, if you just readjust your attitude and your philosophy and a whole new mindset and start again. Some of the great fortunes are made after the person turns 50, 60, and the reason is because with all the ups and downs that happen to them in those accumulation of years, now when an idea or a new burst of energy or vitality or goals sets in, they've got all this experience to invest. That's why these fortunes become incredible, even after 50 and 60. When you're 20, you don't have much experience to invest. Doesn't mean you can't do okay and can't really climb the ladder fairly quickly. And when you're 30, you have a bit more experience to invest if something happened and you had to start over. But sure enough, 50 and 60, you've got a good handful of years of experience to invest, which may make all the difference in the world and now how it goes. And it's true, you can tip either way, to be discouraged by it all or to be inspired by it all. And that's part of the mystery. The magic is you can turn around and make another fortune. The mystery is not everybody will do that. Some will use it as a reason to succeed. Others use it as a reason to give up. Same circumstances. They followed two boys, twins. The father of these two boys was a scoundrel and a drunk. But as they followed the two boys later, one of them turned out to be a scoundrel and a drunk. And they asked him, how come your life turned out like this? And he said, well, what would you expect? Right? My father was a scoundrel and a drunk. What else would you expect? The other boy had turned out to be a professional, doing very well. And they asked him, how come you turned out to be a professional? And he said, I didn't want to be like my father. Same father. One used it as an excuse for living a poorer life, and the other one used it as a reason to make all the necessary changes. A big share of our life is going to be shaped by attitude and by influence. The people around us. Good question to ask. Who am I around, and what are they doing to me, and is that okay? Those are three major questions. Who am I around? What are they doing to me? And is that okay? What have they got me reading? Where have they got me going? What have they got me doing? The people I'm around. How have they got me thinking and behaving? That's a good mature analysis. Who am I around and what are they doing to me? And is that okay? And if it's okay, fine. If it isn't okay, change it. Association can make all the difference in the world in your future. We have to practice limited association. Some people you can be around a few hours, but not a few days. And some people you can be around a few minutes, but not a few hours. And then some people you have to walk away. And it's helpful if somebody comes along and helps us in, a moment of stress and distress and offers a book or offers some advice. And they just say, I'll be here when you need me. Sometimes you don't need somebody to, come live with you or be right there to hold your hand. But as long as you know they're available, if it gets a little tougher, call, things like that, that's very valuable. And if you've got some good friends, they'll be there. I lost a friend just a few years ago. David. I used to say of David, if I was stuck in a foreign jail accused unduly somewhere, if they allowed me one call, I would call him. And the reason is he would come and get me. No questions asked. That's what we call a real friend. And hopefully in times of stress, or if you've fallen out of the tech sky, right, and it's, the paper's all burned up, and the money's all gone, and the project turned into reverse, hopefully you've got some around, somebody, and all of us really have somebody. But part of the good instruction is to make the kind of friends on your way up who will be there on your way down and say, come in. Some of them will say, I've been expecting you. The way you were going, I knew it wouldn't be long. Right, until the bubble would burst and everything would go in reverse. Come on in, let's talk things over. So make some good friends so that no matter what happens, when things do turn upside down, you'll have some to rely on for wise counsel. I've had some of those in my life. They've helped save my life, save my career, save everything. Walk the beach with somebody that cares about you and is an excellent friend where you can really unload and try to see if you can't sort it out. Sometimes a business venture that goes wrong is like being in a wreck. It takes a while for your mind to clear. So if you've been in a wreck and you're out there kind of wandering around, it's helpful if somebody takes you by the hand and says, hey, let's sit down here for a while until your mind stops spinning. There's no way to put a value on that, how valuable that is.